One more module that can help you with site security is the Security Review module. Go ahead and install this one. Do note that as of the recording of this tutorial, the Drupal 8 version is still in development. However, it does work with just one quirk that I've noticed. So go ahead and grab this and get it on your site and come back when you're ready. Once you have Security Review on your site, just go and double check at Extend to make sure it's installed all the way. We're going to scroll down and look for the Security section. Make sure Security Review is checked. If not, check it and click Install. And then we're going to go over it. Security Review doesn't actually do anything itself to make your site more secure, but rather it checks for and reports on certain vulnerabilities your site may have. So once you have Security Review installed, you simply go to Reports and Security Review, and your site won't have this list of things yet if you haven't run it yet, but here you can run a scan to see what the module has to say about your site's security. Let's do this now. You can do this anytime. Click Run here if it's not already expanded for you, and we're just going to click Run Checklist. Here's one of the little quirks that it currently has. Probably because I've already run this before, it's giving me an error. But if I go back, it should have my previous test. And if it's your first time running, it shouldn't have any problem going through the checklist and showing you what's going on. So that is one thing that we'll look forward to being fixed upon the production release of Security Review. But to go ahead and familiarize ourselves with it and to use it on this first check, let's just glance through the things that it's looking for. Only safe extensions are allowed for uploaded files and images. This relates to file fields and image fields on content types. It's making sure you can only upload things like JPEGs, PDFs, only safe types of files. We're good there. Dangerous tags were not found in any submitted content. This one's a little bit confusing. We can click on details on any of these, and it'll give us an explanation. Script and PHP code in content does not align with Drupal best practices and may be a vulnerability if an untrusted user is allowed to edit such content. So we see that tags in this context is not referring to taxonomy terms, but rather HTML tags. Untrusted roles do not have administrative or trusted Drupal permissions. We're good there. Error reporting is set to log only, so we're not displaying errors to all users who visit our site. PHP files in the Drupal's directory cannot be executed. Some files and directories in your install are writable by the server. So I've got an X on this one, meaning that there is an issue. If we click on the details here, it will show us the files that it says do not have the correct permissions. For most of them, it tells us we want the permissions 644. And in my case, these files actually do have this permission level. So that's another little quirk that's currently being worked out in the module. Private files directory is outside the web server root. Let's take a look and see what this means. If you have Drupal's private files feature enabled, you should move the files directory outside of the web server's document root. So this isn't something we've gone over in this tutorial, and you may not have this message, especially if you don't have private files enabled on your site. But if you do ever enable private files, you just want to make sure that you're not storing those somewhere on the web-facing part of your server. You want it outside of your root Drupal directory, somewhere like in your home directory. No sensitive temporary files were found. Untrusted users are allowed to input dangerous HTML tags. This is specifically due to the way we set up our HTML tags earlier. If we click on details here, we'll see that untrusted users are allowed to add images. That's because we were playing around with that earlier. Either base URL or trusted host patterns is set. Trusted host patterns was one of the first things that we set up. We should all be good there. And then views are access controlled. If we look at the details here, views can check if the user is allowed to access the content. It's recommended that all views implement some amount of access control, at a minimum, checking for the permissions access content. So when you set up a view, we don't currently have any on our site that we've set up manually. You always want to have some sort of access restriction, even if you're saying that any visitor with the permission access content can view the view, which basically means anybody can look at the view unless for some reason you want to set up some role where a user does not have permission to access content. That will keep them out of views like this. So there you go. The security review module just has a nice little checklist, and it looks through, and if there are any glaring vulnerabilities, it will alert you to them.